You're on.
I'd like to call the meeting to order. It is 6 p.m. on October 12th. It's all please rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'd like to start the meeting this evening with a moment of silence in remembrance of those lives lost as a result of the attacks on Israel. Thank you. I need a motion to approve the agenda. Oh, sorry. Oh, no. Any considerations for the agenda?
No.
Anybody else? Now I need a motion to approve the agenda. Is that it? All those in favor? Aye. I need a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of September 21st.
Second.
Any discussion on the minutes? All those in favor? And that brings us to our presentations. Thank you all for joining us. I'm just going to call out a name and see who goes with this person. So Renee Murphy, you're at the top of my list. So you get to go first. Isn't this like a fun little game?
Renee, the clicker works to advance.
Was this?
Yeah, so we know the order.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I am Renee Merck, and I'm here to present on the summer work that I did for social emotional learning program for this year. So my first slide is just to show you some of the things that are already happening this year in the SEL room. Kids having lunch together, taking a break, playing a game, working on a puzzle, and the Bigs and Littles mentorship program started. The two at the bottom there are buddies from last year, and we're so happy to see each other. So some areas of summer focus were assessing the needs for the physical SEL room space. There's a picture up in the right corner of the room. I was working on further studying restorative practices, connecting with HCS middle school staff members to schedule restorative classroom work for this year. Researching opportunities to attend conferences and enrolling and participating. I participated in the International Institute of Restorative Practices facilitating learning circles, and will be participating in partnering for a resilient community learning symposium coming up this October. I worked on making connections with the contributors of the SEL Room Care Closet this summer, planning for chairing the Inclusivity Committee and researching some structures for that. Becoming familiar with my new DEI responsibilities for the district and researching best practices. We did a lot of reading and studying Dr. Desautel's work and preparing for her visit to HCS. And the picture on the left is from Twitter. She tweeted about the time spent here. Making connections with Bridges, Valerie, Webb, Julie, Hanston, Chris Amon. We scheduled Red Ribbon Week, anti-bullying, button making, and active parenting and substance abuse programming, and coordinating those activities with the HCS staff. Worked on designing a family engagement structure and decided on HCS FACES, which stands for Family and Caregiver Engagement Sessions. Researched some survey questions for families and mapped out activities for family engagement this year. Reached out to Hamilton community members who expressed interest in supporting the SEL program, the Hamilton First Baptist Church, and various volunteers, and created some volunteering schedules, including the knitting club. Kids have been asking about that. restructured the Bigs and Littles mentorship program so it best meets the needs of students and teachers and created some forms to streamline the process. And that's up and running and doing well. I was speaking with representatives from Madison Rural Health and New York State Office of Mental Health Suicide and Prevention Center to determine the best fit for high school student programming. And it was decided to continue with Madison Rural Health with teen mental health first aid. And then doing some planning of paraprofessional training to match our best practices in regards to co-regulation and restorative practices. The two pictures, so and then the right is there are some buttons from the kindergarten anti-bullying project, and they were made in art recess with Mrs. Whalen. And then on the left, that's Kasaman. She's setting up a table for the anti-bullying button making and worked in collaboration with the story. So thank you so much for the opportunity to get the ball rolling, and we started on a great first foot forward on a program this year that's working out really well.
Renee, I just have a quick question.
Yeah.
If we want to, do you have a list of items that are needed for the closet in your room and how
Yes.
is best to contribute to that?
Yes, I actually just put a list together, and Mr. Rogers and I are meeting tomorrow to put that on the Hamilton Facebook page, so that should go out soon.
Great.
Thank you.
And how many people are how many do you have in the Bigs and Littles?
I have 23 as of right now.
Anybody else? Thank you very much.
Thanks, Renee.
I didn't know the order, so I'm just gonna let you go. I don't know, they said they did.
I think Lori.
Yes, Lori.
If you click the next button, it's going to be Amy.
Oh.
It's going to be Amy and
Okay, so they have got, the order may have gotten changed.
Which one? The sideways button?
The down one.
Oh, the down. What's the sideways button? It's Renee and David. I just looked at it before I came in. We'll join you soon.
All right.
Renee, like push buttons for me. My part in this summer project is very minimal. Amy does.
That's because we started the project and then we were like, okay, well, it turns out nobody could really help me.
My baby.
You know, I would have liked if, I should try to find out which one goes with each of you, but I don't know. I'm not walking out there. So I needed to know what the sections of social emotional learning were. I really didn't know what they were. We focused on K through 2, and we looked for titles that were in the library, and then what titles I could use my money for to buy more of. You can see that if you turn and look at the spine, I stuck stickers on all of them that tells one of the 5 areas of social emotional learning. So I wanted it the easiest way for teachers to find the books, and also, I guess that was it. I wanted the teachers to be able to find them very easily. It took a long time, but what I liked about it is it was nice and quiet, and I was able to work all by myself in the library. Those are 5 categories, and I only know this because I talked to Renee and I looked them up online. So each of those little letters responds to one of those: self-management, social awareness, racial relationship skills. I had to go online to figure out all of this kind of stuff. So I'm going to hope that I can touch this. Is that going to work? Nope. So I can't activate this? Is that? No?
No, I don't know what it is.
Morgan should be able to?
I would think so.
What I'm trying to show you is if I can. No. Anyway. Oh, something worked. We'll just do it. All right, now I should be able to move down on this. Oh, there we go. Ooh. I'm trying to get down. This is called a Pathfinder, and I have these in the library, on the library page. I have to delete some of them. But these right here are the different categories. If I just put self-awareness. I hope we're gonna be able to back up. So these are all the titles that worked for self-awareness. So that was the other thing that took me a long time. So there's I'm a tornado. Yep, here we go. I'm sad. I'm enough. So these are all the titles that work in those categories. So that teachers can just select this whole list if they wanted to come in. And again, this is only K through 2. Renee couldn't help me. We thought that this would be a team project, and what it ended up being was at the end, me saying, could you go in and just look at these so that you have a better knowledge of what's in our collection. I have been reading them to kids already just because they're new and exciting. And I really like that one with the dog. That was really cute. There's a couple. I'm enjoying a lot of them, and so do the kids. So that's about an anxious dog. The poor little thing. It's learning to handle things a little at a time.
I was listening. That was really cute.
I know. All right, I'm gonna go back to the curriculum. I think that's my only slide, right? Oh, no, just. So that was the last part, was kind of getting to know what the collection was. And there's some amazing books in this list. That was the other thing, I had to use my money to kind of make sure that I could fill in. You know, there's a lot more out now that's good. Like, don't hug Doug, that's perfect. There's a lot of people who just don't want to be touched. So don't hug Doug, and that cactus one that Sensei has. I think it's I'm a cactus or something like that.
Nobody hugs a cat.
Nobody hugs a cactus. Oh, questions?
I'm wondering if you have any plans to extend this beyond second grade?
Yes. It gets a little trickier as you get a little older because of the content in the books. So as I get to upper middle, so like I have a new one called Ellen Outside the Lines. And the content is she's a young, maybe sixth grade girl, I think, who considers herself queer, but she's also of Jewish, Judaism, Jewish religion. And so she's outside of what's. So that's probably a book that would fit in that category, but I also have to just, you know, be careful about not offending people. And as you get to the middle school or upper elementary, you get closer to offending that these aren't going to do. So yes, I would like to do that. More stickers, I'll need more stickers.
Thank you so much. Now it's your turn.
Now it's our
Wow.
A little while ago, when we looked at it, it wasn't in this order, so it's in this order now, which is great. We have some things for you to play with. Thank you for continuing to support us with play-based learning in kindergarten. So we continued our curriculum project from last year, this summer. So Meg's passing out something that I'll tell you about. We continue to study on play-based learning practices. We focus on social emotional learning and readiness skills through play. We read articles, studies, and listened to podcasts about play-based classrooms. And in the book, Lisa Murphy on Play, the Foundation of Children's Learning, she talks about the 4 domains of development with appropriate practice. Cognitive, language, physical, social, emotional, and how all these things that we work on in kindergarten are met through play. So she also says play is the foundation of children's learning, which I know you support because you support us. So readiness skills such as letters, numbers, colors, sorting, cutting, lacing, name recognition, attributes, shapes, matching, pre-writing, etc. can all be taught through play. Social emotional skills such as turn taking, sharing, playing with others, expressing feelings, social norms like please and thank you, self-help skills, etc. can all be taught through play. As Lisa Murphy said, teachers are the facilitators of play. Our job is to provide the children with the time and the materials they need to deepen and further their exploration within the environment. Something we read about was making play kits, and you have some of those in front of you, and Play-Doh trays for learning. We brainstormed a list of kits and Play-Doh tray materials to use throughout the year. We thought of things that might be of high interest for the students, but also provide opportunities for learning things for literacy, math, social studies, science. And we decided to continue something we started last year, invitational groups. during our choice time to focus on readiness skills and social emotional learning. And we had high success with these groups last year, and it was a great way to further their learning in the subject. So we made these play kits for these groups and for the students to use on their own during choice time. So our play kits have materials for open-ended exploration to see what they'll do with the supplies. And then later on, we can give prompts or add things to it to share learning, solve problems, react to something, etc. So these are a few of the play kits and Play-Doh trays that they explore with. And in the pictures, you can see them working with some of them. So go out and play with them while they continue to tell you about our project.
Just one note while Lori's doing this, we really have noticed too, as we put these back out, even though it's the same materials, over time, their play deepens and what they do with everything deepens, and they start to see more and do more with it than just like create something. Today, when they were using the Play-Doh kit, they were telling me how they were making patterns with the gems around the things, and they were making things to hold containers and counting how many they could fit in something. So it's really interesting to see how it deepened even just today after seeing it for a few more days. So as Lori said, we did a lot of reading and researching, specifically looking for studies and research about the impact of play and play-based learning. And it obviously really supported what we already knew, that play is integral to the children's development, and not just their academic development, but also their social emotional health. We have also created for ourselves binders, and you have a sample of those notes that we use, and these allow us to make observations and track children's play. It also lets us go back and reflect on what we've noticed in the classroom, trends with students, individually or even in groups. We can note who's playing alone and might need a little budge to find a buddy, and the areas they're playing, and we can also take note of the activities, and it helps us to reflect on their play so that, like Lori said, we can add materials and provide support and enrichment as needed. We also found one of the sheets is a little bit more targeted for one student, and that would let us track the stages of play if we're concerned or we're noticing something exceptional in a student in their play and the things that they're doing. And it lets us provide support if we're noticing that they might need some help problem solving. Then I just wanted to share a couple of quotes that resonated with us. Sorry, still trying to heal up. And it just resonated with us as we were reading. This is one quote that refers to the domains of learning that Lori had talked about: language literacy, social emotional skills, and math. And it talks about how the studies are suggesting that it's not necessary to focus primarily on academic outcomes and social readiness, but play is also a strategy to tackle inequality and to improve outcomes for children from all socioeconomic groups, which I think is really important. So, Lord. Sorry. Can you read this one?
Yes. My voice is just as bad.
There's water in that.
Thank you.
Sorry. Like I was being stated, when children play, most play is ahead of the average norm, meaning that children are engaging in play. Children are acting at a level that is above the level of which is normal because it is safe and inviting for the play. This line of thinking produces children who are confident with handling different emotions, understanding social cues, learning how to adapt to different settings, and learning a lifelong foundation of skills needed for later school and life success.
And I love what it said in there about safe and inviting, because that's our goal in kindergarten. So thank you for your support.
Any questions?
It's really hard to listen to you when you fix toys. Yeah.
Well, if you want to so you can have fun and know that you're learning something.
We're listening.
Like if you were making something, I might have said, Amanda,
Yeah.
how many goals did you use in your? Or you should just one. One, so you needed only one, you know, or you might have said something about your letters or something.
And that's making me think about how these are pollinators for apples.
See what we do? You want to keep that? We made it for
So you can keep that back.
No.
you.
exactly, make note of Mr. John's
All right, I'll find out who's next for everybody. There you go, Meg.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, it's all us.
Oh.
Right.
Oh, I was thinking down there. I'm sure you're always
Probably, yeah. Hold on to find out. All right, so Meg is going to start. Whether you want.
No.
Okay, Meg, there you go.
So we're really appreciative of the support so that we could dive into our new math program ahead of time. There's so much value in that. It's just almost impossible to really feel ready if you just get it in September when you start school. So this was really, really vital to us. So some of our training highlights, a lot of us attended online sessions provided by Eureka, and they had breakout rooms. They were really pretty innovative. It provided time to explore the online component of the program, which was really, really helpful and really directed us what to do. So it gave us a general program overview. We learned the why behind their mathematical processes, and especially the key was multiple ways to solve a problem. We explored lesson structure and resources, and we had discussions with grade level peers in those breakout rooms I talked about. And we were even given problems that we could solve and discuss, and you're going to see some samples of those. So Lori's going to give you a little taste of the beginning of the program.
So, but also, all of us have a section in our math lessons called fluency. And in kindergarten, we do a lot of counting. And this is the special glove that we get to count with. So I have a job for you. You have to work for this. I'm going to put up my fingers, and there's numbers on the fingers. And you're going to count how many fingers I have up. And this is good for practicing. You're really good at counting. Ready?
Are we counting your fingers or the numbers?
Count.
One.
3, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, 4, 3.
Great job. And there's many activities like that throughout the grades. But that's the basics of kindergarten. They start with counting, a lot of counting, and then we move on to other things. Okay, next, we're going to talk about the launch.
That's okay. So fourth grade would like to talk to you about the launch, which should take about 5 minutes of your lesson. We're not going to we really did want to make you get up and do this, but because we were limited in time, we thought we could give you a break on that. So this is called the which one does not belong. So if you take a look at the screen, you can see that there's an A, B, C, or D, and you would ask students to take a minute or so to look at the screen and figure out which of these do they think does not belong, and there is no right answer. So what you might do is you would ask students to go to a part of the room. So if you think A does not belong, go to this corner. If you think B does not belong, go to the next corner, C and D, and so on. And so then what you would do is you would invite the students to defend why they thought that their letter did not belong. And so you would invite students to just share out their thinking. So does anybody want to be brave and share why they thought a certain letter does not belong? A, B, C, or D?
C.
Okay, say more about that.
The only one that has all rows equal, and it's red.
Okay, so that was what a lot of people did, where they would all kind of shuffle to C, and they would notice that all of the counters were red. Anybody else want to be brave? So that was the
Corey, I thought the same thing.
Yeah. And so then what this would do is this would be a transition into like the teaching points of the lesson.
So this kind of sets the stage for the new learning that students are going to do, and it leads into the next part with the transitional statement. So would you like me to read you the transitional statement for this lesson? So today, we will count by using our place value understanding to find the amount of money in a collection when the total amount is greater than 1,000, and then record the ways that we organize and then count our money. So this is the launch into So now you've done the fluency, you've done the launch, and then the third part is the learn. And I'll just so the learn, you guys have, there's two books, one that's from first and one that's from third. That's the learn book, and then you have the apply book. Yeah, there is.
So this is homework.
The apply one is homework that they would tear out. So if you've seen those pages, that's it. But the learn book is what they do, whole group with either at their seat, in the carpet, with the teacher right alongside with them. So in some of the pictures, the students have manipulatives at their desk that they're working through with the teacher in the workbook.
So the nice thing with the workbook is every lesson starts with a magnifying glass, and that's something you're doing as a whole group. And then the next page is gears, and that's what they're doing independently or with a partner. And then every lesson ends with an exit ticket, and so the graphic is the same across the grades. And it's an exit ticket, and then your teacher, you're checking in to see if they understand it, or if not, we can kind of reteach or build groups based on that. What I like about the apply book, I think I should say we all like about the apply book, is sometimes when adults hear Common Core or they hear Next Gen, they get a little nervous. So the first page is an explanation to parents telling them what the lesson is, and it gives an example, so it's a little less intimidating sending that home for adults so they can kind of see. Yes, so it's intimidating because we're using the US algorithm, and this is teaching lots of different strategies, so that apply book is really nice because it is giving a adult-friendly way of seeing what was taught, and so that they can help their child if need be with that homework. So those are two books that every grade, except for kindergarten,
Kindergarten
does not, but first and up, they have a learn book that stays at school, and then the apply book, which can go home either page by page, or some teachers send the whole unit home, so that parents can kind of just keep up with it that way.
And then that brings us to land. Land is where we all come together to debrief. We might discuss strategies that work best during the learn activity, things we noticed during the learn activity, as well as just bringing all of our learning together. There's also an exit ticket that Allison just talked about. A quick few questions that goes with the lesson, and the exit ticket helps us as teachers gather formative data. That's it. Any questions?
Do students like it? They don't have a choice, I guess.
No, I think it's pretty similar to what we have been using in the past. It's just a little bit, the breakdown of it is a little bit easier, I think, for kids. And we're still trying to work out kinks as we're going through it too. Like the fluency piece has a lot to it. So to go quickly, we're still working on that pacing of a lot of things, but I think they're doing okay with it. Yeah.
I say the nice thing is with that fluency piece is I think this year is that hiccup year, but I think we'll see next year because what they're doing in kindergarten, we're doing the same counting in second first. We're doing it in first, and we're doing it in second, so I think the kids, as they get used to it, will get used to it as well. And the other nice thing is we have Jody Poppel from BOCES coming in and doing some observations and some meeting with us so that we can kind of troubleshoot and see how other districts are doing it in their classrooms, which is, I'm excited for that piece because there are a lot of pieces to it, so she may have some really good tricks for us as we figure it out.
And some people are going to a rec and rec training at BOCES also. That rec and rec is a big part of that, and should be involved. We didn't think about that, but we have rec and recs, we all have rec and recs that like different county by tens, we're using it that way.
Similar to the counties, but not, a little bit different.
Just one thing, you guys feeling okay-ish about the switch? Are you glad you made the switch, generally speaking?
Yes.
Yes. The independent one seems to be much more independent as opposed, because kids look at it and are like, oh, I know what we did, I know how to do this. All of these questions are the same thing that I learned during the lesson. So I can now do it independently, and the questions get a little bit harder on by the last page, and there's like 4 questions, as opposed to what we were doing before. It was a constant, you're doing a little of this, then a little of that, and then something here, and then that. And so kids didn't always remember. But for right now, I think there are a couple of first graders that are not feeling super challenged, because I think this is a review of what they would have done in kindergarten had they been in the program. So it's not super rigorous math at this point, but it will.
Yes. And this program has a bigger component of technology than our old programs had. So it's us getting used to that because we have to use it, because it's part of the lesson. And today we had animals ordering food on their cell phones on our pictures, and we're like, how does that work? And then we hit it, we're like, oh, it talks. we learned a lot of new things. So let's get used to that technology. It'll get better.
And I think something that I appreciate is that there's lots of strategies built in to each lesson. So, for example, we're using number lines to round numbers, and that might be, like, some kids can just go to the rounding piece, but where other kids might benefit from using a number line, or we started by using a tape diagram, where that was actually a tool that many of the kids relied on to use multiplication, and division. So it's built in so that you never really know what kids are going to need and what might click for somebody. So there's lots of strategies that you'll see where you look at that and you're like, well, why don't you just do this? But you'll see that the strategies really do make sense. And it's just kind of a unique and different, innovative way of learning. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Evidence-based program breaks reading and writing into smaller skills involving letters and sounds, then builds on these skills over time. So it's explicit in that teachers will teach a specific concept. They will have they will have routines that students follow. So you can see the stand is something that we do every day or every other day. The blending board, the furthest to the right, is something that we do every day, every other day. They have routines for learning a new red word, for example, with SED, and they have routines for syllable division, which is the one on the far left. So they know these routines, and so they're able to break down pretty much any word that is put in front of them after we teach them the concept. There's a sequence to what we do. It starts with sounds, then it builds in words, then it builds in sentences and books for the students. So it also starts with short vowels, then they build in blends, and we move into multi-syllable words with both the short vowels. And so they start building into longer and longer words. It's systematic, so we use an I do, we do, you do approach. So we start by modeling it for the students, and then they work with us to practice it, and then we give them plenty of opportunities to practice on their own and monitor them. And it's multi-sensory, so we simultaneously use the visual, seeing something, the auditory, hearing it, and then the kinesthetic as they're writing it, using sand, using that bumpy screen, those are all ways to really have it stick inside of their head. There's a lot that goes on in an Orton Gillingham lesson and in a week. So we compiled a lot of our
phonics should be fun and engaging. And so we have put all of these resources together for us in a nice drive that we can access, and we know our students, so we're able to pick out the resources that are appropriate for them.
I'm going to come down here because I'm going to practice the screen a little bit. So our next two slides are going to be screenshots to show you specifically what our toolkit looks like. So what Jess and I did is we made a shareable drive. We titled it OG Toolkit, and what we did is we added the concepts from our IMSC OG program into a folder. So there are 83 concepts in our program, so we made 83 folders to correspond with the concepts. So within each folder are a variety of activities. So for example, we have a concept of short O here, and what we did is we added activities, some different hands-on activities. We added some decodable stories that the students are able to access, different games, and then we also added a tremendous amount of activities that we actually created and have accumulated through the years as we've been teaching this Oregon Gillingham program. There's actually more in this specific folder, but this is all that the screenshot could capture. So the reason why we're so appreciative of the summer curriculum project is to organize all of this. It was quite time consuming, so to put it all together has been extremely beneficial for us in our lesson planning process, but also to strengthen our lessons. We were able to add so much over the summer, different activities, games, stories, because in our program we really focus on having the students master concepts before moving on to the next one. So the more access students are able to have with that concept, the sooner they'll be able to master it in both their reading and their writing. So it's been really fun adding in a lot of these games and activities into our daily lessons. This is just another example of a folder in our Google Drive. So this concept is suffix ED. So you can see here that we have some visuals, we have different hands-on activities. It was really fun. It has to do with the paper airplane. I just love that one. Again, we have decodable stories for the students. We have this flip book, and again, just a variety of games, and also games that we have made. So it's been so fun for the students to be able to see some of these new activities we've added this year, and it's just been really engaging and hands-on. It's been a lot of fun for us to kind of put together to see how we can really enhance our curriculum. And as we started to put this together, we quickly realized that our intent for the summer curriculum project was to support students in this specific IMSC OG program. But as we started to put this together, we realized that these resources can benefit all of our reading students. So we've been able to use bits and pieces throughout our reading groups to support students specifically in their areas of need. So it's been very beneficial for our kids overall. It's been pretty fun. So what we did, we have a video, so I'll go in 1 second, of our students. It's just a little snapshot of them interacting with some of the activities that we've made and some of the games that we've created and put together. But we just wanted to make this super brief resource slide to show where all of these resources have come from. So the majority of our resources came from our curriculum, this Institute for Multisensory Education, this website. Last year I was able to present to some of you a dyslexia handbook that I had made through the University of Florida. So through that certificate program that I completed, I was able to have access to a variety of decodable readers in different games. So we were able to add those into each folder along with 2 other types of decodables. The Literacy Nest here, this is a website that has a lot of activities that align with our IMSC OG curriculum, so it's been great to be able to pull from this website. And again, we just made a lot of activities on our own to kind of supplement our lessons, to really strengthen them and enhance them from last year. And we really want to make this an evolving drive, just because we're able to create on our own and also accumulate. So the more that we're able to accumulate different resources and create things on our own, we're going to continue to add to this drive to, again, strengthen our teaching to support our students in the best way possible.
So when I click on this little video. Oh, wonderful. I was nervous for a second. I'm sorry about
Well, that's logged in as me, so I may not have permission to view it.
Can you help me?
I should have added you in this morning because I told Chris that we were doing this. Thank you for your patience. All right, close your eyes. Also, close your eyes, but this is gonna work.
Try clicking on it.
Thank you. As you can see, they're practicing many concepts and they're having a lot of fun doing it, so thank you very much. Do you have any questions for us?
Must feel nice to be very organized.
Yeah.
Organizing a couple of
So thinking about this, so we're going to do like in September, we're going to be so happy. It'll be the summer where we're like, this is a lot of work, but we're really happy with how it turned out. Great. Wonderful. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Process of elimination, we have to
Okay, so we worked together over the summer to work on a project-based learning curriculum for our 12-1 students, particularly K through 2 12-1 students. We were able to have a space where we can have one classroom that's dedicated to project-based learning and then one that's dedicated to more typical academic learning. And really, the goal of all of this is to create a way for our students to be engaging in academics, but doing it in a way that's meaningful and that's really their idea. So let me go upstairs. At the beginning of the year, what we did was we just presented the idea to them, and the idea really was to make our own community. So talking about like what makes up a community and what kinds of things, what kinds of businesses would we need, what kinds of resources would we need in our community. Talking about our own community of Hamilton, and they came up with ideas like, oh, well, we need a post office, we need a bank, we need McDonald's, and all sorts of things. So really, we just prompted them, and everything just kind of came from them. Now we're kind of into the phase of planning out our community. They came up as a name for our town, we named it Friendtown, New York. So we're just in the process of deciding on what their businesses are and building. We had to kind of be creative with what materials we were able to use, but we were able to involve the students in problem solving there, and we just brought in a bunch of sheets and kind of like let them go at it like they're building a couch board at home. And it turned out really great. So right now that's what we're working on, and now just as we continue throughout the year, they're going to continue to add to what they already started. Name their business, make signs for their business. So in the meantime, they're writing because they're making signs. A lot of them are making menus for what they, when somebody's making McDonald's, so he's working on making prices for all of the things he's going to sell in a menu. So so many academic concepts are involved with writing and just a lot of multi-sensory ways to engage in the curriculum, but they don't really know that they're learning because it's just fun, and it all came from them. Like, it's all a high interest activity for them, something that they came up with themselves. So the goal by the end of the year is to finish our town and really strengthen the social emotional connection between all of us, because they all are going to have to work together. They all are going to have a salary for their business, and kind of travel around, and that brings us here. Travel around the town. We're going to build roads. One of our students is running a mechanic shop. So we're going to borrow a couple of scooters from the PE teacher, so the students will be able to rent out a scooter from him and travel around the town and buy things from each other. So some of the other things we have are a pizza shop, a car wash, a post office, a movie theater, a Walmart, a jewelry store, an ice cream shop, and a bookstore. I'm in town, so we have like a town center. We've made a tree, they decorated the tree, so we can have some meetings in our town every morning, and Mrs. Mark has already been coming in the morning, so where we all meet together in this PBL room and talk about some SEL type skills, and also now that we've started building, we'll start coming up with a plan for
what's your goal for your business today? Like today, somebody wanted to just make a bunch of French fries for McDonald's, so just kind of an idea of where they want to go from there. So it's been really engaging, and now that we're really getting into the building process and the creating the materials to buy and sell and everything, it's they're really, really excited about it. So it's going to be a lot of fun to see how that evolves throughout the year.
So each PBL student will get a mailbox and they'll have an address for their business. I field the committee each morning for 15 minutes. I do SEL lessons, I have cooperation and communication and coping skills for when things don't go the way they're hoping they'll go. We have calm corners will be constructed in the hallway to help with regulation and to give some space. Possibly be taking some field trips to the community to make some observations and do some, just get different ideas for the community. So Mrs. Ricoli is rotating groups between the 1211 room and the PDL space while incorporating academics in an interdisciplinary way. So each student will have a bit of activities next to their business that they're working on related to their business, and that they will all involve writing, math, social studies, and science. Each worker will have a uniform to fit their job, and we're using regulation practices on the signs in each business. The signs will say, "I need some help," or "I'm open, all set for customers," or "I'm closed, this business owner needs privacy." Students created already a calm down pond in their town for emotional regulation and filled it with soft things and bean bags and decorated it with fish. So we have a good start. And then some of the community building circles that we're doing right now revolve around self-awareness and self-management, relationship skills, social awareness, and responsible decision-making. And that they all relate right to what's happening in the room, and they're often the students in the circle talk about what's happening right now and what do you need and how are you feeling and how are we going to solve problems together and create this community. Thank you for your support for the project. It's really going over very well with the students.
Have you noticed this changing, or has it noticed the motivation they have to work?
Yeah, and when they're not in a place where they can engage in like actual, paper pencil academic work, it provides a space for them to go and engage in work, but like fun work that they are interested in doing. So it's really been helpful in that way to kind of when they're a little bit dysregulated and aren't ready to be part of the classroom, it gives them a space for their own kind of thing. So it has been helpful in that way.
They're doing all the academics in the PDL room without really realizing that they're kind of doing this, they're still writing. They're just making a sign and they're making a menu. Great.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, I just want to say that I'm glad we're doing multiple presentations and in the beginning of the year. It's really interesting to hear what you guys have been doing, what you use your time for this summer, and not wait until June to hear, and for you to have to wait that long to do that. So we appreciate you being here. Anybody have questions before we move on? Before we move on, and this is another reason why we moved this up in the presentation, go home, get ready for tomorrow, have some sleep, get some sleep, and thank you for being here. You're welcome to stay, but you're also welcome to leave.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. I know, it seems so fun.
We all want to go back to K2.
That brings us to our consent agenda. Wow, here we go. 4.1 through 5.2, I need a motion to approve the following consent agenda as recommended by the superintendent. discussion? All those in favor? That brings us to participation. First time for participation, there's a few people in the room, so if you would like to, please come forward. Do please remember it's a 5-minute time frame. I think you'll be fine, but thank you.
So good evening to the Board of Education, Administration, and the community here this evening. My name is Victoria Kustai. I'm the high school counselor here at Hamilton. And thanks for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight. I'd like to address one of the topics presented in the student board members report last month regarding the lack of opportunity for post-secondary exploration throughout high school. So to start, to a degree, I'm in agreement with the statement. In fact, last year, the focus of my self-directed supervision was on the effectiveness of Naviance, which is our college and career software. Throughout the year, I explored alternative college and career softwares, along with surveying our faculty and students on their experience and opinions of Naviance. Based on the feedback, this year we've made a change. It will be utilizing primarily Big Future through the College Board and Common App for college and career exploration. These platforms are significantly more streamlined, relevant, and have completely eliminated our software subscription cost. At last month's meeting, Mr. Dowsland had shared that the U.S. News ranked Hamilton High School 5th among Madison, Onondaga, and Oswego counties. One of the criteria factored into this ranking includes, quote, how well students are prepared for college. While this is not only the work of the school counselor, we do play a critical role when it comes to the preparation, exploration, and accessing college. I'd like to make clear that the 4 schools ahead of Hamilton all have multiple school counselors at the high school level. In fact, one school has 20 school counselors at the high school level, listed on their website. Furthermore, 3 out of the 4 schools ahead of Hamilton have lower student-to-school counselor ratios than we do. Finally, all of the schools ahead of Hamilton either employ a dedicated individual for college and career support or have a dedicated college and career center. I'm proud that HCS is standing shoulder to shoulder with these other schools, despite not having these supplemental supports in our building. And I want to take a moment to demystify and advocate for the school counseling role. School counselors support 3 student domains: academic development, social emotional development, and career development. The development of these domains begins in elementary school and progresses up through graduation. These domains are developed in various ways, including, but not limited to, large group lessons, group counseling, individual counseling, advocacy, and collaboration with stakeholders. At times, the school counselor's role is visible. Other times, it's invisible. It's behind closed doors and it's kept confidential. In addition to these responsibilities, there are other functions that are on Hamilton school counselors' plates, which our professional organization, the American School Counseling Association, states are outside of the traditional scope for a school counselor. For example, creating the annual master schedule, coordinating testing, and proctoring exams. In a small school, we wear many hats, and we all go above and beyond to support every student's needs. And while I think my colleagues in administration will attest to the fact that nobody loves to work on the master schedule more than I do, the downside is these efforts are time spent away from directly supporting our students. School counselors hold a unique yet critical role in our school system. So open dialogue in this public forum should serve to enhance the student experience. So thank you for your time and for this opportunity to provide school counselors' perspective. If there's any questions about how we support students, we welcome them, and I'm happy to discuss further.
Thank you.
Can I ask you a question? The school,
Yes.
school counselor positions are 10-month positions?
Yes, they are. Yep, 10 months.
Anybody else? Thank you. That brings us to personnel. I need a motion to approve the winter coaches for 2023-2024 school year, contingent upon significant participants, and recommended by the athletic director and superintendent. Any discussion? Anything different, anything changes that need to be noticed there?
No.
Anything? All those in favor? A motion to approve the advisors and volunteers for 2023-2024 middle school production as provided for contractual language and as recommended by the secondary principal and superintendent.
Second.
Any discussion there? All those in favor? I need a motion to approve the appointment of Rick Lutherkin. Is that right?
Logan.
Sorry, Rick. As part-time, 0.7 FTE, food service helper, effective October 13th. Where? As recommended by the food service manager and superintendent.
Move.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. I need a motion to approve Mia Spossant as a substitute on the list, as recommended by the administrative team and superintendent.
Second.
Any discussion? Will be an executive session, I do believe. All those in favor?
Aye.
I need a motion to approve Sharon Follett as a substitute covering an elementary classroom with tentative dates of November 20th through December 15th, as recommended by the elementary principal and superintendent.
Move.
Second. Discussion would be an executive session. All those in favor?
Aye.
Need a motion to approve the recommendations of the committees on special education and preschool special education.
Second.
Discussion would be an executive session. All those in favor? Need a motion to accept the following monetary donations with sincere appreciation and increase the budget by these amounts recommended by the business manager and the superintendent.
Move.
Thank you to the First Baptist Church, Hamilton PTO, and MDT Bank. Any other discussion?
Thank you so much.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Discussion time, policies. I'll turn it over to you.
These were just two updates, just some changes that Moses recommended. We just added, we did a little tweaking, but just to clarify language, so these don't really change the actual policies. But just kind of make sure that we're meeting the legal definitions. I think home instruction, you have to change those regarding days, right? But that was because it was changed legal law changed. We just met our obligation.
Okay. Anything else on policies and regulations? I'll turn it over to Mr. Desmond for the nightlight.
So the nightlight, we need you as a board. So next week is School Boards Recognition Week by the New York State School Boards Association. So as our annual recognition, we have gifts for you. I would like to read a press release from the School Boards Association in honor of you serving as volunteer school board members. The New York State School Boards Association recognizes October 16th through the 20th as School Board Recognition Week. This is a time to promote awareness and understanding of the important work performed by local school boards. Public schools form the bedrock of our communities and our country. Democracy thrives with educated citizens capable of critical thinking and civil discourse. And it's our local school boards who ultimately are responsible for student success. It takes strong school boards to build a strong community, and they devote countless hours to making sure our schools are helping every child learn at a higher level. They make the tough decisions every month and spend many hours studying educational issues and regulations in order to provide the kind of accountability our community stakeholders expect. With that said, I would like to personally thank each of you, recognize you for your countless hours of volunteerism and supporting our mission of educating every child every day. We have gifts for you that thanks to Jody, thanks to Morgan, thanks to Tor Kowalski, thanks to our elementary students. They're full of goodies for you. There's some really cute notes that we'd like to present to each of you. So, Jody, if you can help me. certificate from the School Boards Association. Jen, thank you. Sung, thank you. Michelle, thank you. Corey, thank you. And Tinsay, thank you. So thank you very much. If you take a little time to peek through your bag and read through your notes, they're really cute. And there's a little heart there. There's a nice coffee mug full of nice mints. So thank you to Jody, Tori, Morgan, our elementary teachers, Kathy Roy. Kathy Roy's students made the muffins that are in your bags through her cooking class. So it was a collaborative effort to thank you for everything that you do to support us. So we appreciate each and every one of you.
Thank you very much.
I had to make sure my daughter signed this.
That's what I was
She did.
I'm in the wrong grade.
Yeah. She put a happy face on it.
There we go. I was checking that too, but I was in the wrong grade. I was like, I can't see its name. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Put this here so that brings us to the superintendent's report, which was put in. Anything that you want to highlight?
I have some additions if I can. So last month, I was able to announce that U.S. News and World Report recognized us as one of the best high schools in the nation. Niche, who is a data warehouse that aggregates data based on key metrics for schools. Last year, we were recognized as one of the best districts in New York State. Again, their rankings came out. We're the #2 school in Madison County. We're the number 208 school out of 672 in New York State. So continually doing good things. And that's, yes, that's a, yep. So we are very proud of that. It's a collaborative effort. That's the entire district, pre-K through 12. So I wish the teachers were still here so we could recognize them, but I will make sure that they are recognized and appreciated. So that's a tremendous recognition for us. So it's a testament to the hard work and support of great students, support families, and great teaching and learning. So I'm very happy about that. Renee, in her report, mentioned HCS spaces. So Renee and I have been collaborating on some ideas to increase parent engagement, and she came up with the idea of faces. And I want to share this with you. If you could pass these down, everybody, please. This is our family and caregiver engagement series sessions, and she came up with the acronym FACES for exactly that. I'll wait till you have.
We're good.
You're good. So the goal of the family and caregiver engagement sessions is to build strong and effective partnerships that will help children and families thrive. These partnerships will be grounded in positive, ongoing, and goal-oriented relationships between families and HCS. We're going to be hosting a number of workshops. The first workshop, if you go to page 2, Jen will be thrilled with this. Bridges is going to present In Plain Sight. This will be Wednesday, November 1st from 6 to 7 here in the LGI. It's an interactive presentation exploring a mock teenage bedroom to understand teen substance use trends and signs.
Everyone has to go.
I'm good.
It will blow your mind.
So I'm really excited about this series. Renee has done a lot of the legwork to present this and put this together, so I think it's going to be a really engaging and thoughtful and beneficial series for our parents. So I would encourage everyone to participate.
Is this Wednesday, November 1st, is it for students to attend too?
Anybody can attend, sure. Yep, there's going to be, she's setting up childcare, so parents that need childcare services can attend, anybody can attend. The last thing I want to share with you, we had a really unique experience this week. Our goal here is to change children's lives, and I think we do a really good job of that. We never know the impact. Sometimes we do immediately, sometimes it takes weeks, months, sometimes years. We had the unique experience this week of having an alum from the class of 1964 visit us. He was a foreign exchange student from Colombia, and he reached out in the summer and asked if he'd come visit. He was going to be in the area, and Morgan and Chris set up a tour with him, and it was so powerful to hear the impact that HCS had on his life. We're going to show you a video because I didn't want to read his letter. I wanted to give him the opportunity to share his letter with us, and then I'm going to share a gift that he presented to us. But it just exemplifies the impact that we have on people's lives here and how powerful and important we really are on a day-to-day basis. So, Morgan, if you can cue that up for me, I'd appreciate it. Turn the volume up.
My name is Manuel Manrique. It's my pleasure to be with you. I am a graduate of Hamilton Central School in 1964. So 60 years later, I am back here, fortunately healthy and working, and I brought some letter addressed to the principal that I'm going to read it. So it says, I leave these lines both for you to knowledge and, if you agree, to share this with the Hamilton Central School educational community, because it is my testimony of some who greatly benefited from his experience here. Taken by the Schaefer family, I arrived in Hamilton in mid-August 1963. I was greeted at Syracuse Airport by my adopted parents. I spoke very little, almost nothing of English. However, I came with the enthusiasm and youthful excitement of those years. From then until today, a staggering 60 years have passed, almost 60, from the graduation. I came from Peru, from a city called Arequipa, located 1,000 kilometers from the capital, Lima. I had completed high school the previous year, and I spent those few months of 1963 preparing my journey to the U.S. The Schaefer family consisted of a man, dad, and 4 children. My closest companions were Tom and Mary, who attended Hamilton Central School. Tom was my roommate in the house of 169 Lebanon Street, and we gradually built a friendship that was only interrupted when the school year ended. Mrs. Schaefer, elementary school teacher in Hamilton Central School. It was a year of countless experience and learnings. At first, I had difficulty with English, and there were times when I felt frustrated for not understanding or speaking the language of my classmates and teachers. In front of the Schaefer house, there was a cattle barn where I started working every morning, feeding the calves. The hardship of those early mornings was well rewarded over time because I was able to become familiar with the tough work of each morning. When I traveled to the United States, I had the idea of studying agronomy, and I thought my work in the barn was a way to start familiarizing myself what it would be my profession. I was part of the 4-H group, and in my schedule there were 1 or 2 courses related to field work. In a short time, I realized that the agriculture I encountered in the United States was very different from the conditions of the Peruvian agriculture. While there was a growing level of automation in agricultural work here, Peru was still in a very remote times and far from having the technology that was in the US. I was part of the basketball team in the winter and track and field when the summer approached. I learned a lot from both disciplines and got to know classmates more closely whom I didn't have much interaction before. Hamilton meant something I had never imagined. I learned English that opened many doors for me, not only for the employment, but also to pay for my university studies, because shortly after my return to Peru, I was able to work as a translator and interpreter for a civil engineering company based in San Francisco, California. In Hamilton, I discovered horizons that allowed me to see the world beyond what I had ever imagined. It was planned that at the end of my stay, I would take a bus trip with a group of American Field Service participants through several states in the northeastern United States. This short journey would end with a visit to the White House to meet President John F. Kennedy. Unfortunately, his assassination in November of 1963 prevented us from meeting him, and instead the meeting took place with his successor, President Lyndon Johnson. Miss Beale, my friend teacher, I remember being at the French class with her and in the afternoon when this school speaker announced that President Kennedy had been assassinated in Texas. To the Schaefer family, to Hamilton Central School, my classmates, the teachers of my time, I only have endless gratitude. Thanks also to the American Field Service for creating the opportunity for that leap between Peru and the United States, which may seem normal now, but then it was quite an adventure. Looking back, I would say that that was an aspiration of AFS. That experience made me a responsible global citizen and an agent of positive social change. I could tell you many more things. I worked for UNESCO and UNICEF. I had to do a lot with children through my career. So coming back to Hamilton Central School is a real joy. And I just have positive thoughts for you, and I really wish you well. Thank you so much.
Pardon me? That was filmed in mine. Yep. So he left us this gift, and it says, "Infinite gratitude to HCS. The year I spent as a senior, 1963-64, has been of great importance for my life. Manuel Manrique, AFC exchange student from Peru," I think I said Colombia before, so I apologize. "This is inspired by the painting Pedrito from a collection of the Colombian artist Fernando Botero." So if you do any research on Fernando Botero, a very well-known international artist, his works go for millions. So this is a puzzle, and he explained this puzzle as his life, and a part of this, pieces of this puzzle represent Hamilton. And when you put this puzzle together, it creates a beautiful piece. And he said Hamilton has played a part in that beautiful piece of his life. And I thought that was really powerful, and I really wanted to share that with us tonight and share it with the public. So we're going to display this in the building somewhere. I don't know where, we have to find a place for it, but if you want to look at it, I have his yearbook here. He actually, when I showed this to him when he visited, he had put a note in here that he had forgot about. His wife was with him, so they got a great kick out of it. Reading the yearbook and going through it. So we just had a great time. Morgan and Chris and I spent some time, and Jody spent some time with him. Just a wonderful, wonderful human being. So I just think it's special. I think it validates what we do here and the impact that we have on lives. We don't know when, where, whom, but we do. So I think it's a testament to the good work that we do. So thank you for that. That's all I have. Oh, do you want to talk about NISBA?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do that now. It's part of my report. So, Corey Sung and I, as the policy committee, we've been reviewing some of our policies and some of the challenges that we're facing with the policies that have been presented to us. And we had the conversation, actually Corey brought it up, and Sung has been looking at some NISBA policies that we would like you as a board to consider switching our policy service to the NISBA policy service at the end of this year. Right now, we're committed to the BOCES policy service. I've had conversations with NISBA. The cost is beneficial to us. They will review our entire policy manual. It'll take about a 2-year process, but in the meantime, they will update quarterly our policies. When we're done, we'll have a clean policy manual to then move forward from, and then they'll update the policies from there with a service going out from there. I've shared with Corey some correspondence from NISBA today from the Deputy Director of Policy Services. I would highly recommend that we move in that direction.
Yeah, and you may remember, we looked into a couple years ago what it would cost to do this policy we were like, oh, that's a lot of money, but the yearly service is much lower than BOCES. So by switching to that, it would, over like 2 years, we'd be, make back exactly what we're spending. So,
well, I think it's long overdue. I think it needs to be done. We've talked about a full review for a really long time.
We've done great anyway in the last 3.5 years. But we have hundreds of policies.
It's really just scratching the surface.
Yes.
There's so many things that are just old and we don't know why they're there. There's like, if you look up in the policy, there's a policy on homework that just says we recognize the value of homework, and then it defines homework. And that's it. That's the entire policy. Like, why is that there?
Yeah.
We don't know if someone in 1989 really thought it was important. Somebody in 2012 didn't want to rock the boat and get rid of it. That's all we have so far. So, this seems like something that we all, Bill and I have done work with NISBA, and especially with their legal team, and they seem pretty rock solid. And the policy that we see from them seem very much in line with
where we are.
And maybe better written sometimes with policies. So,
a handful that could be in our policy book, they're combined, but it could be standalone policies. It would take considerable amount of work and the time that we're meeting on a month-to-month basis. So going through their service, even though 2 years seems like a long time, they're going through the entire policy book and helping us kind of be compliant in the right direction.
So keep that on the radar so we don't forget when it comes to BOCES, aid, and all the budget stuff and everything. So.
Yeah, you all will figure out the best time to switch over.
Yeah. Thank you.
Administrators' reports were posted. Any specific questions at the moment? Obviously, we've said that the administrators don't is either Bill can field them and note them, and then get back to us if needed. The athletics update is there. Anything of specific note that we should state? Winter sports is starting to be signing up too. Business manager.
Yes.
He's all ready.
Here's the report. Thank you. I just have a couple things I want to update you folks on. Last month, at the September board meeting, I attended the School Board Institute event at OHM Mosley's. It was a focus on electric school buses. There were representatives there from a bus company, from NYSERDA, and also from NISBA. So it was really 3 presenters, each sort of focusing on their specialty as it pertains to the push towards electric school buses. In my role, this is something that we're getting information on a lot and have been for the last year or so. I think for many of the school board members in attendance, it was the first really getting information on what's going on and where we're going. So it was, I think it was eye-opening for a lot of the school board members. Basically, just to sort of summarize where we're at, the deadlines that were in the legislative adopted budget last year remain intact. So that being that New York State schools, as of 2027, will not be allowed to purchase anything but electric school buses, with the requirement to have your fleet turned over by 2035. There seems to be consensus that that's a very aggressive time frame and maybe not realistic, but in the interest of not wanting to impede progress, they're not going to change those deadlines. They just got rid of those deadlines and moved them off, and we impede progress and people will take action. So, we got some updates, and right now, it's just under $500,000 for each full-size bus with a charger. Each bus, they're saying, a range of roughly 100 miles, with up to a 40% reduction based on conditions. So,
Where's 100 miles get us?
I mean, like straight line away.
No, like, yeah, like.
2 Old Forge.
Yeah.
Okay.
2.
2.
Yeah.
That's what I was getting at.
But that's with a full charge, no reductions.
And how long
So in
is
the
it?
winter,
Right.
we could get.
Hills, you're using heat, you're using air, you're using the radio, all of that would reduce the range. So one of the things, in the meantime, one of the things that's going to happen is beginning in 24-25, so during next year, at the end of next year, there's going to be new reporting requirements that are in place for all school districts to report progress and what you're doing, where you're at, as far as training, all the staff members, your mechanics, fortunately for us, through the central maintenance office of BOCES. So really, I think what I took out of it, and really what I think is best for this district at this point, is to do 2 things, sort of within the next year or so. Number one is to have one of the bus companies come in and do an assessment of our current runs and our current fleet, and basically tell us what our fleet would have to look like with electric buses where we're currently doing. And as an example, sort of to maybe help you understand this better, is one of our buses that does one of our 5 in-district runs in the morning, when that comes in, will that be able to go out in the afternoon? Would it be able to do the pre-K run at 11:30 in the morning? They will look at current mileage, current charging. So they'll tell us basically how many buses we would need to make that work on a daily basis. The second part to that, which I think we would pursue, is once we know that, what we would need, we then have to look at the service side of things. So working with the village, having a municipal electric utility here, we would work directly with the village initially to see if the load is there and what we need to do on that. As far as funding opportunities, it's a bit misleading. Again, like many cases for us, we're not sort of tagged. There's all these maps that are out there with communities the need or the preference for funding, we don't follow any of those. You hear big numbers. There was a round of funding, I think, through NYSERDA. It was $100 million, which is a lot of money. That's 200 school buses. It's over 50,000 in New York State just for public schools. So a lot of questions, still more questions than answers. A lot of board members were throwing out what ifs and hypotheticals. But it's going to happen. It's going to happen. We'll do what we can. We're going to be meeting with King and start preliminary planning for the next building project. Electrical engineers will be involved in that. Bill and I had.
If we were to do another bus garage, can that be on site or can it not be? Okay. I thought I had heard bus garages can't be on site.
Yeah.
A lot of schools don't have them on site, correct?
Some, yeah. I mean, I think the trend, obviously, is that people moving in off-site, and the property on campus is too valuable, I guess, if you will. It might be an opportunity for collaboration. It's something Bill and I have talked about very preliminarily internally. It might be advantageous to talk to some of our municipal neighbors, other agencies, groups that are going to be, or companies that are going to be making transitions. So it could be an opportunity to collaborate in our central terminal. Typically, what we've seen in the past is those types of, when we take that initiative, the eligibility for funding increases by doing that. So we'll see. So that's sort of what went on. It's not going to go away. We've talked about it a lot in the next couple of years. So.
Does this apply to non-bus vehicles now?
Not yet.
We could still have a truck for funding.
Yeah. But I think, I'm just talking to Luke, I think it's coming.
It's coming.
Yeah.
It's coming for all.
I guess the electric trucks.
Yeah, it's coming. So it just one, it's kind of funny that a board member raised their hand and they said, no, it's sort of jokingly, but to get the point across, our 6th grade basketball team is very good. So in 2029, if we make it to the Final Four at Glens Falls, how are we going to get our kids there? And the answer was, well, what we're encouraging, this was from the bus company, is from 27 to 35, you want to keep a couple non-electric buses in your fleet while you're allowed to accommodate trips like that. So,
And then after?
And yeah, you're just.
don't know. So,
Barley.
and then there's, I mean, it was like just, there were, some of these board members just went in so many directions. If we go to Old Forge, and we have a game there, and we have to charge, how is that going to work? Are we going to pay, how are you going to pay for it? It's going to just create a whole.
How long does it take to fully charge one of these buses?
It depends, there's different level chargers. So.
Excuse me, because you have to wait your whole
That's
bus.
the fastest
Yeah.
it's
So
gonna
we can
take.
get
I don't know how
Different costs.
Yeah,
to each
it's
Oh, I'm
different
sure.
costs, yeah. I want to say like 3 to 4 hours.
There's a level 3 charger that will speed charge in 3 hours, will give you enough charge to come back, but it's like $85,000.
But that's 3 hours.
And most of
So
our
if there's a
games
game.
aren't there that long.
Right. So the other thing, and this
Play Old
is
Forge.
sort of the business official side of things that my peers and I are getting frustrated about is, currently right now when you buy a school bus, the aid from New York State is amortized over 5 years. So when we borrow money, we borrow money with a statutory installment bond with principal and interest payments over 5 years. The aid's coming in to offset those payments. It's been that way, it's clean. Right now they're talking about amortizing aid payments over 12 years. So, the life expectancy of the batteries is like 7 years. So it'd be like having a 12-year car payment.
You can't use your
Yeah.
car for the last 10 years.
Right.
So there's a lot of questions on that end too there. We'll see. We'll keep you updated. More coming. And then secondly, this is a landmark board meeting. There are not, as you know, there's not many times that I get to stand up and deliver good news. So I'm happy to do
Matt's
this.
gonna steal my thunder.
Yeah, so you want me to
You
wait?
need to make me go first.
Jen, you go first, and then I'll tell you some of the specifics.
You go ahead. You go ahead.
All
It's
right,
been a
so-
huge advocacy effort.
Yeah,
Let's just
it
put it
is.
that way.
So the USDA has recently announced, just as recently as last week, that they were dropping the threshold for eligibility for the community eligibility program for free school lunch from 40% to 25%, which means we qualify. So we got a taste of it, if you will, during COVID, immediately following COVID. This is a great thing for us. You know, with a lot of the things that the teachers were talking about, it all ties in. You know, food insecurity is it's real here. Whether people want to acknowledge it or not.
It ended up being for the whole school too.
It is. So I was literally today, I went into Bill's office this afternoon. So there was a report that was out with figures with this expanded eligibility. And our middle school, high school was listed on there, but our elementary was not. And it was listed at 25.87%, which was concerning to me because I know that our elementary numbers are higher. But as it turns out, so you have two different things here. You have USDA, which is the federal level, and you have New York State. So because we are a K-12 building, we report all our numbers, like you see in my monthly reports. We have one cafeteria, we have intermingling of kids. So it just so happens that when we report, we are in New York State system as the junior, senior high school, even though it's our full K-12. So that's what I suspected, but I did confirm it today with SED, so I was waiting for that. So our blended rate, if you will, K-12 for this identified student percentage is 25.87%. So now's the time to get in there. So as far as timeline goes, so we have to apply. It is pretty lengthy application. We're going to get going on right away. You can't start until the beginning of the month. So the first of the month, immediately following the approval of your application is when you can start. So
Is this just a this year thing?
for now, it's an annual application, there's a renewal. So and talking to somebody today, I don't see what we need to do. So it would at least be through the rest of the school year, and then we would renew each and every year as long as we continue to be eligible. So realistically, it's hopefully December 1st. But by the time we get the application done, obviously we're going to have to do some work as far as notifying people. Andrea and her crew, is going to be tough for them because we're going to see our participation numbers go up, which is ultimately what we want. But we're going to have to increase production, we're going to have to put the staff working, but all good things. So we'll communicate that out once we know more as we sort of hone in on when we'll have this application done. It's not going to be November 1st. It's just not going to turn around that quickly. Frankly, I don't know if we'd be prepared to implement that quickly. So I would say at this point, I'm comfortable saying hopefully December 1st. If not, it'll be after the break when we come back in January. So great news.
So Nicole, how many people have their, like, they put money on the account?
What's that?
People put money on an account.
Yep. So that'll still happen because we still have a la carte items and second lunches. So this is applicable to the first lunches. So if kids come through and they want a second lunch, then and we haven't gotten this far yet, but I don't think our practice and our mentality will change. We don't feed kids. Kids go through for a second lunch, they don't have money on account, they still get lunch. So we worry about that after the fact. So But I think we'll see, where we saw the biggest shift was with breakfast. That's where we really had more participation, which is great. So it's good for everyone does. So, yeah, so it's exciting.
Thank you. You're good. I'll let you still.
Yeah, thank you.
Not to be outdone by the business manager, student. We're not next term now. Oh,
We're gonna go in reverse order.
love it.
So, first thing is the September report. So as things have settled in a little more since the start of school, there have been some things that have changed from the previous meeting. The renovations remain a popular addition to the district. Recently, Mrs. Reynolds and Mr. Arquette seem to be working on times for the new weight room to be used, including possibly before, after, or even during school. As for post-secondary guidance, as I mentioned before, literally the day after the previous board meeting, many seniors got a presentation about applying to colleges. A large group of juniors also went to a college fair trip at OCC recently. Also, groups of various high schoolers and AP classes went to field trips at the Colgate Library. Senior meetings with Ms. Pustai are also starting to be scheduled. All of these things are definitely a step forward and are certainly helping the issue of post-secondary guidance. However, more individualized, in-depth discussions on a large scale are still generally quite limited. Aside from the senior meetings, which are short and therefore limited, all of the information sessions are larger and more generalized. While still helpful, there should be more individual meetings, discussions, and/or anything else possible for high school upperclassmen. Lastly, the phone protocols remain unchanged from the beginning of the year. After the first few weeks of adjustments, I think students have somewhat gotten used to not touching them outside of lunch and between class periods. However, I still believe that the policy should become more relaxed for study halls, for academic use or otherwise. Having access to a phone in study hall is not a complete negative for students. All right, so a lot of other things I have an SRO, and in case you've been wondering what I've been writing down, it's just a whole list of benefits and just information about it that I've just thought of while I was here. So I can't read that, or I can save it for next time. Whatever you guys want. Read it? Alright, well, I'll start with actual writing first. So in last month's district goals presentation, Mr. Dowsland outlined that one of the main goals in our district is to ensure the health and safety of all HCS students. While we definitely succeed with this goal the majority of the time, I believe that we can do even better, possibly with an SRO. For some time now, HCS has discussed the idea of hiring an SRO. However, I believe that this discussion should be elevated to a much larger level than it currently is. While no decision should be made now, it should be discussed in depth by the board, faculty, community, and even students. While I don't want to add my personal opinion, I do believe that I am responsible for mentioning some of the potential benefits and hindrances of hiring an SRO. Starting with the benefits, having an SRO as a security force against outside threats is an obvious merit. The reality of living in America is not always fun, even if we live in a generally safe part of it. Regardless, even recently there have been a series of noteworthy incidents that are extremely concerning to the safety of students in surrounding schools and also HCS. The incident with the security guard near Proctor Gate, the threat that postponed a cross-country meet in Adirondack, and the social media threats of a shooting last year all come to mind. In events like these, having an SRO, even just as a deterrent, would be a common presence to the students, staff, and parents of HCS. Security inside the school would also be strengthened by having an SRO. They think as long as there's been a problem with HCS, and having an SRO as both an enforcer and deterrent would certainly help fix this problem. Not to mention boosting various other forms of internal security, which would all be part of the dedicated job of an SRO, instead of having Mr. Arquette add to his already significant workload to deal with low-level student discipline. However, not everything is a benefit of an SRO. Aside from the possible administrative issues that I don't understand, two things stick out to me in particular. For one, the community might push back against hiring an SRO out of a valid concern for safety. This mainly stems from one thing, the second problem. If the person hired isn't well-trained, understanding, and good around kids, there are obvious and serious liabilities to the school and the safety of the students. Should the SRO overstep their bounds, make a major mistake, or not consistently go above and beyond their job description in a positive manner, then it would be a major error to have hired them. The position can only be as good as the person fulfilling it. These factors are only what I could think of and are definitely only a fraction of the information that should be discussed around this issue. yet I believe it to be a critical topic of discussion. Whether we decide to hire one or not, weighing the risks of any possible solution in the effort to strengthen security and our HCS commitment to it should be the top priority of the Board of Education and Administration. And as for just the things I've written today, so for hindrances, there is reported harassment by other SROs throughout the nation, which is targeted. There's the concern that SROs will be making arrests, which is sometimes a wild overstepping of boundaries. Sometimes the stats regarding emergency situations do not show that SROs are actually useful as a deterrent. It can create a fearful environment, and they can be a kind of scary presence. Politics. And the thing with the SROs that I discussed with Mr. Dowsland is that if we use the mandatory contract by Madison, we cannot edit anything at all. And then for benefits, security, internal and external, peace of mind, which is potentially priceless, division of responsibilities, which I mentioned before, part of the cost would be covered by the county. This takes examples from the county schools, which are like other county schools, which are all participating in the SRO program, except for us and one other school. And this includes Cazenovia, who I believe is the only school ranked above us in Madison County, right? And are also one of the top 5 schools in the Syracuse area, which we were ranked number 5. So, taking notes from them should be something we should think about. Familiarization with law enforcement, local incidents, and we can't really control what happens outside of HCS, but just having a little bit of control over the security inside of it is nice. And then also, I talked to Mr. Dowsland the other day, and he said that you guys might ask about statistics, like specific statistics from students, and I said that that was impossible because of a few things. And ironically, I asked a student right next to Mr. Dowsland, what would you think about having an SRO at the school? And like almost every other student that I've asked about this, they said, what's an SRO? Because there just is not enough already available information that the students have access to or know about this topic, and that makes taking statistics like literally impossible. The same thing repeated when I was talking to Mr. Jones about this subject. I asked a student, what do you think about it? And I asked, what's an SRO? So unless that changes, there's just no way to take measured statistics from HCS students. But if we do start, taking a top-down approach and start, educating students and, thinking about this topic, then I think taking an actual survey and taking actual statistics would help and be an option available, but it's not right now. That's all I got.
Thank you. Appreciate it. SEL report we did already. Knowledge sharing. So I'm going to start here. We have been asked for a board member to go to the National Honor Society inductions Wednesday, November 8th. Both induction ceremonies will happen at the same time, one right after another. However, they do hope to have a board member speak for 5 minutes or so on the topics of scholarship, character, leadership, and/or service. And they would like to know by tomorrow, if possible, if somebody who is available and willing to do that.
I've done that before, happy to do it, but I'm also happy to defer if anybody has something to do.
I was going to volunteer.
Enjoy it.
My daughter's being inducted that night, but I don't think speech.
Yes.
I could do it. Want to, but that would be, then I could go to the induction ceremony.
We can go anyway.
You can go in.
It's okay.
You will get invited, okay.
It's up to you.
So change your
There's a
mind?
board meeting, so we have to, is it at the same time as the board meeting?
Oh, well, it's that,
Just November
It
8th.
is.
that's not good.
November 8th, 12th.
I think.
Board meeting?
No, this one just has the 14th.
No, the board meeting's on the 16th.
16th, Thursday the
Oh.
16th.
Yeah, no, I would have never done
Okay, so that would be crossed.
It's okay. Good to question those things.
Yeah.
Before the night of.
Yeah.
So who, you guys are gonna rock, paper, scissors it, or?
You decide if you want to speak. I'm only good if you.
I don't really. Yeah.
You can tackle
So I will reply, and copy you, and then, that will get in touch with you. So I will do that first thing tomorrow morning. Perfect. And then, next, I didn't want to forget that, sorry. Elementary steering committee.
Me.
Oh, we don't have steering committees. The steering committees were, did you meet?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We had our combined.
Right. Well, we had elementary.
Okay. We.
You didn't have a meeting.
Okay.
Oh.
So only,
So it's just me, yes. And I will talk to Corey afterwards to see, maybe I will do this meeting check-in.
okay.
Okay, somebody will do it. So first, we just reviewed the shared decision-making plan at our meeting. That was pretty, that was fine. Let's see, oh, the steering committee, the joint meeting got moved to October 26th, the one with Rebecca Cobb. So Corey's going to go for both of us to that meeting because we'll be in. So he's going to go and report back on that. It sounds like a really cool meeting that she's going to do. We talked a bit about that, how she's going to, she's, I think, going to be talking about the culturally responsive sustaining education that we're implementing as part of DEI, I think. So there's this little sheet that we got that was interesting. It's providing a welcoming and affirming environment, high expectations of rigorous instruction, inclusive curriculum and assessment, ongoing professional learning and support. So it seems like a pretty nice frame. So she's going to come work with that. I think she's already done some trainings with the teachers, like teacher leaders, and I don't know. And I think this is just the next step for that. So we talked about that. Let's see, we talked about the open house, how it was very successful. All the teachers really seemed to like it. There was some talk about how a lot of the specials teachers didn't really get a lot of traffic, like Mr. West and some of the reading teachers. So an idea for next year is just to, do a checklist and maybe have all of them there, you do a week, and then you can go visit all of them, just so that they feel kind of more included on the open house. But I think the teachers and the parents all liked that event at the beginning of the year. The big question is, where's the Emerald Night costume? That came up. We don't know where it is. Right?
We know where it is.
I know where it is.
Okay, oh, you know where it is,
Oh, yeah.
okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have it.
Okay. Let's see. We talked again about quiet cafeteria, because there was a committee last year that started talking about the quiet cafeteria, which is just a lot of kids think it's too loud in there, which it is, and like a lot of kids go to different rooms to have their lunch because of that. So there's a student group, and Mrs. Merck, who kind of steered that committee, coming up with ideas of what to do. And I think that Heather said that there was some leftover money maybe from the capital project that might be able to be allocated to doing sound baffles or smaller tables or something that could help to make the cafeteria more quiet. So I know that I think we're going to start talking about what options are after they do an analysis of the sound proofing that might need to happen in there. And then we just came up with ideas for what we want to do on the steering committee for 2024, and it is a community component of the culturally responsive sustaining education framework. We're trying to get more community involvement and outreach to parents. Technology and literacy is always a big thing that comes up with elementary students, well, I guess all students, but
in that committee, so we're going to be talking about different programs, I guess, that, that Chris could do, we could invite parents to learn about that stuff. Technology safeguards, artificial intelligence, reliable sources, we're going to look into starting a wellness committee, so that could be fun, if that's interesting. Therapy dogs, this is what I was talking about, bringing them back, and then doing assemblies on, for like a math night. That was what.
Great. Very busy.
Wow, yeah. We're very busy.
Yes. Great. Secondary, we'll hold off for this one. We're not busy at the moment. That's okay. Inclusivity.
Inclusivity, our next meeting is next week, Monday. That's going to be the October meeting, so more to come. So I can talk about what's on the agenda, I guess. So last month we met, as I said in the last meeting, just to set the tone for the committee and define some of the purpose for while we're getting together in a meeting. This is a draft.
That's a draft.
So
Yes.
this is just an equity action plan that Bill put together. It's quite extensive, and hopefully once we finalize it, we'll share it with Michelle, Jen, Corinne, Amanda. Basically, we'll have all the community members will have a chance to go through this and give their feedback next week. And I think we also have a couple of teacher presentations next week as well on some of the inclusivity actions they're carrying out in their classrooms. But I'll report on that more in the next one.
Okay. Great.
We're looking at doing a diversity mural within the building that Mrs. Kowalski and some of her students are going to present to the inclusivity committee to get some ideas on what we want that to look like, and so they'll be presenting Monday to our committee.
Any other knowledge sharing? I did what was that? Mass shooting webinar. A couple of us did that. I was on a communications webinar yesterday for close to 10. I wish they were only an hour long.
I was on it, but just for.
I have to log off at 1. Yeah. I have a meeting at 1, but
they did email us the materials.
They
Did you
did.
see that?
So it was interesting. I think the part that I thought was most interesting on that was there was a new Hartford superintendent, and so it was relatable to us in our region. So and advocacy. Anything else knowledge there? Advocacy. Anything special? I didn't spoil already.
I have the NISBA annual business meeting on Monday, so I know there's a couple people I haven't heard back from yet. If you want to partake in that, and give me your vote, let me know. If you could do it by this weekend, just so I have like a data put stuff together. And I'll take my notes and recap and let you guys know if we can break like the never-ending record from last year. Very long.
Thanks for your advocacy for the school lunch program. I know you worked hard on that.
Tried.
Yeah.
And now it looks like
Made
we're gearing up for electric buses, so.
Yep.
You couldn't even get me any time off now.
No. That's not going to be an easy or quick one either.
It is the thing that continues to come up. It was the school lunches and electric buses were the two big NISBA efforts, so.
We are just, and I don't know if anyone would be interested, but we talked Tuesday, business officials, targeting one of the March, I think the March Superintendent's Conference Day is potentially having one of the vendors actually come with a bus and do some ride-arounds type thing. So I can pass along more information. I mean, it's just an idea at this point, but
I have one more question. Has anybody actually had a bus in their fleet for a significant amount of time? Do they know how it's worn over?
Like upstate New York.
Yeah, I think Camden has one.
They do.
Yeah.
Ithaca City.
Adirondack. There was some funding, there was some very targeted funding that came out within the last year for specific districts that have gotten them.
But they've only had it recently.
Yeah.
Like, has anybody had one for 5 years?
No, I don't think so.
No.
Not that I'm aware
But
of.
by the time we need to get that, they'll have had theirs for 5 years, so.
Yeah, Ithaca City's in the process of converting their entire fleet.
Because that's a big question too, because so much of what you do with the buses now is tracking their performance and making sure we're rotating them on time.
Right.
But what's the time?
Yeah.
It's totally up in the air.
Well, what was alarming to me was just the life expectancy on the batteries was, I think they said 7 years. Which is, yeah, it's, I don't know. You know, so if you turn your fleet over every 7 years, but you're basically being aided over a 12-year span, I mean, it's going to create problems for budgeting and figuring out how to get into a cycle where you're efficient and effective use, so.
There's nobody else in the room really, so anybody for general participation? No comments, well,
So I would just like to add, I want to thank
there's 2 people watching.
Denise Whalen and Johanna Vazer. They were helpful in your gift bags as well, so
Thank you.
make sure that they get recognition for helping out as well.
Lots of helpers.
Yeah,
Thank you all.
good team effort.
Yes. Anything else for the good of the order? All right, we're not doing executive session. Okay, just like to make sure. I need a motion to adjourn. All those in favor?